Hey there, I'm Flinny, and I'm hiking northbound on the John Muir Trail this year. I've done it as a section hike, and you can see my trusty companion is my HMG Southwest 3400. I've had it for 5 years, and it's a great pack. There's a nice side pockets for snacks. It's a pretty simple frame, which is the whole thing, so as long as it fits you, then it's all good. I like the big side pockets all around, and I like it's one big sack. So it really has worked well. It was lighter, and it's really worth going because you can take the old bear canister and put it inside, which is my preference. So it's been a great pack, and I see no reason to upgrade it. Supposedly it's a little bit waterproof as well. So let's get out the main big three, as we call it. So I've given you my pack overview. There's lots of options in the tent. I've picked Z-Packs. See, I think it's a Soloplex. It's a single person, one pole tent. And it's really worked great for me. I've had a triplex before. So I just like the tents, and they could definitely be used. There's other tents you could use, I know, but this is what I have. And for going solo, that's really what I want to do. So I'm just get a few more things out and we're almost done. Okay. Sleeping bags. As you can see here, I have inside, it's a Magma 15 by REI. I've thought it's great. The one thing is this waterproof Sea to Summit bag has been good, but I'm going to upgrade it, and I'm going to use this pump sack for the Neo Air by Thermarest. Really great pad for that. As far as for nighttime, I'm going to have this 1-inch foam pad. It will be underneath this at night for safety and resiliency against any pokes and squeezes. But also this can act as my day pad, sitting on the lunch rock or kneeling to do cooking and things like that. As I mentioned, the Soloplex, I highly recommend the either MSR or others, but you can really get these different stakes, which I really like. The long ones and the short ones, because there's a lot of rock and sand camping on the JMT. So those round, thin ones don't really work very well. So that gives you a quick overview of the big three: the pack, the sleeping system, and the tent. Now let's discuss kind of the clothes I'm going to be wearing most of the time during hiking. First of all, Z-Packs hiking poles. I like them, they're adjustable, so one of these will go with my tent, but I'm pretty much carrying them most of the time, but there are times they'll just go in the pack. My core clothes, you can see, is a polypropylene long shirt, Adidas underpants, and then just shorts. I'm not a big fan of long pants, so I can get away with it. I like it. They're key because they have pockets, so you can put snacks and other things in. So that's my key clothing wear. For my feet, you'll notice La Sportiva Ultra Raptors. I like La Sportiva because they're narrow for my skinny feet, so they're key. They're good. I've worn them already. I use Superfeet green insoles just to keep a good footwear. Of course, I'm trying the Ingenie toe socks. They work real well, again, to avoid blisters as a liner, or you can just use regular silk socks. And then the classic Darn Tough crew style socks. These are Oregon Research, different kinds of, as I call them, dorky gaiters, but they really do work to keep dirt out of your shoes, which is key. Awesome. To go with the hiking poles, I have some sun gloves. These are glacier gloves. They're, as you can see, they're a little worn. So I think I got to upgrade these before I start hiking again. Finally, for sun protection, I have just basic Ray-Bans with a croaky. I've tried some of the real fancy ombres, other kind of glasses that have pretty much just a cinch strap, but these really fit when I want to slide them up on my head and things like that. And then finally, a hat wear. It's my first year. I'm going to be wearing this Columbia sun hat just because I need to worry about skin protection a little bit more. And even though I love brims, this is going to be the one. So hiking caps are not it. This is the one I have. So. Let's discuss extra gear that I'm going to have. As you'll notice, I've got a really nice sun shirt. I think this is a Mountain Hardwear on sale. Again, it's tall, so it fits me. I love hoods, so you can just put it right over my hat when I'm doing, so I'll probably just layer that on top of everything. When it gets really sunny, I'll hike with it, so my top is covered. If I need a little bit more warmth, usually at a real windy rest stop or back at camp, I have a Arc'teryx pile hoodie. I wear this all the time. I like it because it's got pockets for phones and zips, so really great product. Any kind of good polypro fleece is awesome. I also have a similar brand of an Arc'teryx lightweight rain jacket. Put the weight in the spreadsheets, but again, I really don't want just a Frog Togs jacket. I have one, but this for wind and rain and just warmth, really key. I have a pair of Mountain Hardwear, really nice full zip rain pants. The only challenge is I may decide to pull an audible and upgrade to the old Frog Togs pants, just because they're really light. And again, if it's unlikely to be raining a lot, I may just have these if they save a couple of ounces. So that's an optional change. Finally, I have got some, forget the name of the brand, but really nice light water and camp shoes. They do it both. They're really light, lighter than Crocs and all that. What I really like is that they protect my toes. So I prefer these versus Teva or other flops, just because, again, walking around camp, I'll just protect my toes from rocks and other things. I have a pair of night camp socks, extra socks, just to go with those when I get to camp, take off the old Stinky and Genie and others and get going. I also have a pair of gloves to line myself. I don't have a hat because I'm going to use these hoods for my heat, but when I really, really need a hat, hence the buff for lots of other things. You guys are familiar with buffs, not only sun protection, but that. Finally, you'll notice this doubles as a pillow. This is a HMG pack, but what's really nice is it contains my puffy, so at nighttime I use it as a pillow. But then I have a nice, I think this is the Ghost Whisperer puffy jacket. So awesome clothing. The only other piece of clothing I have is an extra shirt, underwear, and an extra round of socks. So that's, and then I have a long pair of long underwear. All right, miscellaneous. We'll start with the simple stuff. Most important, bidet. I choose this one versus the cute little Quijo, which goes on a water bottle. I just like this one because I can dedicate this, just fill up a stream water. I don't have to filter it and just have it ready to go when I need to. So it just works really well for me. Your mileage may vary, but that's just my preference versus using one of these guys. So bidet is important to me. I don't have to carry anything. Also, I have a small lightweight case because I have to carry glasses as backup as I wear contacts. So besides this on my daily toiletries, I'm carrying contacts. For toothbrushing, again, I forgot floss, little things of floss, very important, but also these cool little Wisp Colgate toothbrushes. They kind of can pick through your teeth. So these are disposable. After a couple of days, you get rid of them. So they're just really lightweight, and it's nice to have multiple versions. You can give them to somebody on the trail, but put them in resupply and then come back. So that's my main toiletry. Of course, hand sanitizer and my trowel. I have a little Satchmo for all of it. Sunscreen is really important for me because of my face. I prefer these smaller tubes. You can ship them in the resupply, but again, it's the screw top is key, so you don't have to have a little Satchmo to put it in. As a flip top, bad news in my experience. My first aid kit needs to be a little more optimized, but mainly the basics. There's a lot of good YouTubes on it. I like the idea of having an extra pair of gloves in there. The mask is in case of smoke and fire. That's it. I mean, guess COVID, but not on the trail. I'm not worried about it. But N95, just in case of fire. Emergency blanket. I need to upgrade that. That's why this is out, is to have some antibiotic, but in little packages rather than a tube. Still key. And just some other miscellaneous kind of first aid important stuff is this is gosh, I forget even the name of it, but it's a gear aid. It's tape for miscellaneous backpacks and other things like that. A little Luca tape, which is great for first aid to wrap any blisters that are forming in my feet. Hopefully with my foot setup, I won't have to worry about that. And then finally, just in case, some little crazy glue to tape things up. Finally, I like to carry a little set of assortment here, mainly the lock blade, which of course is good for every occasion. I like the thermometer just to know what it is in the morning, so that's why I carry it. And there's a whistle just in case. I keep this on my back of my backpack during the day, but also on my tent at night. Water system, as you can see here, I've got the tube and I've got my hydration bladder, which I put in my pack, and then I clip it onto my harness just so that way I can have water all the time. Because the problem with water bottles in the HMG is you can't really reach them solo. So you need to have something better than that. I prefer the Katadyn B3, even though I do have the Sawyer and I'm a big fan of these, mainly for day hiking, but for overnights, I like to be able to fill up once because sometimes your water is far away from your camp. You can just fill it up, slog back, and let the gravity get to work. These are the 700 milliliter sport bottles. I'm not a big fan, but some people like them. I'm going to be upgrading to the 1 liter, and then I'm going to have these solid tops on it. One bottle will be for clear storage and one will be for numb electrolytes. But again, I like to be able to screw the top on because I can store them upside down, throw them in the pack. These I just don't trust because I think they're going to leak. Great for day hiking, but not for overnight. Finally, for cookware, you can see I've got my Jetboil, and I carry this extra stove weight just because it's top heavy and I just prefer the stability. I don't like to lose my stove during it. This is nice for the matter. One thing against the pocket rocket is that in order to put the stove on here, you got to take this off on the pocket rocket. I've melted this before, so I like this feature. That's the tent. This is the Mini Mo. I could go smaller, I think, but again, it's the tent, it's the pack. I mean, sorry, this that I have. I also use this GSI Outdoors mug. I don't carry this. I toss it because I prefer just the mug for coffee and tea. Coffee in the morning, tea in the evening. So I really like this. It's pretty rugged and you can drink water in it too. Finally, no, I don't use this, but a Toke's long spoon is really great for eating. I tend to cook with quart freezer bags, pour the water from here into that, let it soak, do its thing, cook some tea, move on. One other thing that's optional, Picardin or other bug spray and head net may be an option. It all just kind of depends. The final thing I mentioned, speaking of cooking, is I use these are composting bags. You can get them, they're really light and strong, so I use them for trash, but they could be used for many purposes, so I carry a lot of them because they're very lightweight, but you could even open them up and use them if it gets really cold as mitten liners, just to cover my hands up if it's cold, or even put them on your feet if there's a real problem for socks to make a vapor barrier. And then finally, I love these little vertical versions of these bags so you can put stuff in. So key for that. Okay, let's talk about electronics. I personally like a little Satchmo that I store them in. That way I know which is all my electronics gear. I may switch this out for a fanny pack. I like those little fanny pack ideas, so that's a good idea. But I do it just because you need to put all this stuff, most of it, into this bag and stuff it in my sleeping bag at night because you want to keep it off and cool. Of course, Garmin, this is the InReach Mini. It's not the Mini 2. Either one is great. Highly recommended. It's awesome for security at that point. Use a Nightcore USB headlamp. It works really great for me. I like all those things. There are fancier ones now that have a red light. That would be good. But this one I've had, it works. It's light and it's great. Nightcore 10,000 amps. I think I may get another one of these, and I'll tell you why. Otherwise, with this, it is enough to power my phone and the InReach and this. So those three things works really well for during a 7 to 8 day overnight. Finally, the new gizmo is a DJI Action Cam 4. It's really nice for a lot of things. I've used it for skiing and regular hiking. So just as another alternative, comes with one of these cheapo, you can get one of these cheapo tripods. So I'm going to try this, even though I'm not so sure yet, because it's still heavy in the scheme of things. But it's, if you need an action cam, it's pretty good. For that, I also have this backpack mount that I can put the camera right on here, and that way I can just hike along, and it kind of keeps your trail poles out of the way. You get some good scenery and it bounces along with the stabilizer in there. So it's definitely something I'm really strongly considering. Of course, it's a case, so I can store it in when I'm not using it, just for protection. And then finally, we have the iPhone that I'll be carrying. One thing I do is for the tripod version, or to hand carry it, you'll notice I have this lock version of this. So once it's in the tripod, I can carry it and not lose it. The challenge with these ones that are springy is that if you kind of joltle it, your camera will go out. So if I'm going to get rid of this and I'm just going to go back to the iPhone, I'll still carry this mount, with this at that point, just because it's really cool. And so that covers, last thing on the electronics is I do carry a big 30-watt plug for when I get to camp. Sorry, not to camp. When I get to resupply, I can power up correctly and usually power this first. But then I have small cables for my iPhone, and for these two are micro USB. This is for the iPhone, and this is a USB-C to go from here to there. It's all pretty savvy. So that's the state of the gizmos, and we're about done. So just have a great trip, all the best, and we'll see you on the trail.